And there have never been in the history of Romanian or the Russian church so many conversions made by pastors as they have been made in this parish, which is prison. So don't fear prison. Look upon it as just a new assignment given by God. I remember when I was arrested, my wife told me as the last word when I embraced her to go away with the policeman, Richard, remember that it is written, you will be brought before rulers and kings to be a testimony unto them. Well, this we can accept, but we have heard about terrible tortures which the communists inflict on you, and they are really terrible, and they will be terrible in Africa, worse than in Russia. In Russia, I wonder if you will be able to read Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn. It is terrible to read 600 pages of tortures. But these were still European communists. We have the last report about Zanzibar. They oblige prisoners to eat their feces and to drink urine. This happened in Romania too. But in Zanzibar, they have added something to it. After you have eaten feces and drunk urine, they put some, I don't know what, an iron in your mouth, which makes you to vomit what you have eaten, and then you must eat again. And it's really not my role today to describe to you all these sadistic tortures to which they recur. And now, how will we do about these tortures? Will we be able to bear them? If I don't bear them, I put in prison other 50 or 60 men whom I know around me, because that is what they wish from me, to betray those around me. And here comes the great preparation for suffering, which must start now. It is too difficult to prepare yourself for it when the communists have put you in prison. I remember we had in Romania a case, you know, we are among pastors, such cases happen rarely, but they happen, that a pastor had sinned with a woman. And now everybody among the pastors debated this question. He was a man already 20 years, a pastor. And my wife said, his sin has not been what he has done on that evening. The circumstances were so, and the occasion, and the girl was nice, and so on. He did not resist temptation. His great sin was not what he had done on that evening, but his great sin was that 20 years before, when he was not tempted, he had not said to himself, during my pastoral life, different things will happen to me. Among other things, it surely will happen sometime that I will be tempted to sexual sin. And to take the decision 20 years before, and to prepare yourself beforehand for what might happen. We have to prepare ourselves for suffering. How much every one of us can suffer depends on how much he is bound up with a cause. How dear this cause is to him, how much it means for him. And here we have had in communist countries very big surprises. We have had gifted preachers, writers of Christian books, who had become traitors. The composer of the best Christian hymnal of Romania became the composer of the best communist hymnal of Romania. Nobody would have expected it from him. Everything depends of this if we have remained in the sphere of words or if we are bound up, merged with the divine reality. God is the truth. The Bible is the truth about the truth. Right theology is the truth about the truth about the truth. And a good sermon is the truth about the truth about the truth about the truth. It is not the truth. The truth is God alone. Around this truth there is a scaffolding of words, of theologies, and of expositions. None of these are of any help. It is only the truth itself which is of help. And we have to penetrate through sermons, theological books, through everything which is words, and being bound up with the reality of God himself. When with us, Christians were tied to crosses 4 days and 4 nights, the crosses were put on the floor and other prisoners were tortured to fulfill their bodily necessities upon the faces and the bodies of the crucified ones and other tortures like this. I was asked very often in the West, which Bible verse helped you and strengthened you in these circumstances? My answer was, no Bible verse was of any help. It is sheer cant and religious hypocrisy to say this Bible verse strengthens me or that Bible verse helps me. Bible verses are not meant to help. We knew Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I will not want when I pass through the valley of shadow of death. Now, dear Susie, give me another piece of apple pie while I read it. And I read about passing through the valley of shadow of death. When you pass through suffering, you realize that it was never meant by God that the Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, should strengthen you. It is the Lord who can strengthen you, not the Psalm 23 that the Lord strengthens you. And you must not have the Psalm. You must have the one about whom the Psalm speaks. We also knew the verse, my grace is sufficient for thee. But the verse, my grace is sufficient for thee, is not sufficient. It is only the grace which is sufficient and not the verse. And especially we pastors who are handling the words, that is our very calling from God, to speak not only from the pulpit, but the whole week we speak holy words. And we are in the danger of giving to holy words more value than they really have. Holy words are only the means to arrive to the reality expressed by it. If you have arrived to the reality, if you are united with the Lord Almighty, communism is not almighty. He can't break the Lord Almighty. If you are only with the words of the Lord Almighty, you can be very easily broken. The preparation for underground work is deep spiritualization, and as you peel an onion, so to take away one peel from after the other, what is words, what are our sensations, what are our enjoyments, and to arrive to the reality of our faith, Jesus has told us beforehand that whosoever will follow me will have to bear a cross, and he showed himself how heavy this cross can be, and I have to be prepared for this. Look how the world does. Look at a pornographic magazine, or look at an advertising. It inflames your imagination, you know, when you look to this magazine, if you wish or don't wish. It's just something. We have to inflame our imagination by having before our eyes, making spiritual exercises. I'm very sorry that spiritual exercises are almost unknown in Protestantism. We had to revive them in the underground church. Spiritual exercises have been abused by some of the Catholics, and then the Reformation came, and there exists always a movement of pendulum. If one has fallen into one extreme, then I will fall into the other extreme. If somebody has made out of Virgin Mary almost a goddess, another would say Virgin Mary is just nothing. You pass from one extreme to the other, and because some abused in false spiritual exercises, others would not make spiritual exercises at all. But we have to have not only our moments of prayer in which we speak, but we should have moments of meditation and contemplation. And when we read in Acts 11, in Hebrews 11, this long list of those, how they have been sawn asunder and burnt on stakes and devoured by lions, and I don't know, all kind of things which have happened, I must visualize myself. Now I am before lions, I am beaten, I am in danger to be burned, and so on. How do I behave in this manner? I remember my last confirmation class before I left Romania. I took a group of 10 or 15 boys and girls. I did not take them to church. You can't take youth to church. It's much too dangerous for them. I took them on a Sunday morning to the zoo before the cage of lions, and I told them, your forefathers in faith have been thrown before such wild beasts for their faith. Know that you also might have to suffer. You will not be thrown before lions, but you will have it to do with men who will be much worse than lions. Decide here and now if you wish to pledge allegiance to Christ. And they had tears in their eyes when they said yes.